Now, you could argue that running itself, because of the short contact times, is a plyometric exercise itself. So what are your recommendations of including plyometrics training into a strength training program for a runner, considering that they're getting a lot of plyometric actions in their sport already?
Yeah, thanks a lot for the question, Rob. It is a really good question. Just quickly to recap what I mentioned. So, I mean, we know through the scientific literature, so the intervention studies that have used plyometric training, that it is a really potent stimulus. Like it's great at improving economy compared to just running alone. So compared to a control group that's only carrying on their normal training. And so the reason why it's a good thing is because it's quite biomechanically similar. Like if you think about the running action, it's unilateral. So we're going from right foot to left foot. The foot hits the ground. We get a lengthening initially of the muscle tendon unit, and then we get a shortening. And so if you think about jumping exercises, hopping, bounding, they're similar joint angles, and the muscle and tendon are behaving in a similar type of way. But what we're doing with plyometric exercises is trying to increase the loading demand, so how much force is going through the body, by either jumping higher than kind of what we typically do as part of the running action, or traveling further horizontally across the ground. So that not only increases the force demand, so therefore we get some strength changes within the nervous system and the muscle, but it also increases the potential for the tendon to store energy. And so if we give the tendon more energy, what we're essentially trying to do through a process of adaptation is teach it to store and return that energy. So therefore, we're getting more sort of free energy from the tendons after we've completed a plyometric intervention. I think the other part of Rob's question was, well, running's plyometric, so why not just kind of do running? And that makes complete sense. But essentially, we're trying to overload the mechanisms of plyometrics. If you think about running like a fairly low intensity plyometric, fast running, maybe a moderate intensity, sprinting, definitely a moderate intensity plyometric. Like what we're trying to do is overload the muscle and tendon. So we're trying to encourage it to become stronger and store and return more elastic energy. So we don't need a huge amount of volume of this. Typically with the runners that I work with, the novice ones are only doing about 30 to 40 foot contacts or sort of repetitions of plyometric training. And the ones that have been doing it a few years are doing maybe 70, 80, or maybe 90 at very most. And that would represent like a really...
Is that per week or per session?
So that's per session, sorry. And they'll be doing a couple of bouts of this type of work. And that's quite a meaningful dosage. And probably much more than that, you're going to start risking tendon-related injuries potentially.